The world tilted. Not in a poetic sense, not in some dreamy metaphor. It literally tilted, and I had to grip the edge of the kitchen counter to steady myself. My chest burned, my legs buckled, and for a moment I thought I was about to pass out right there on the cold tiled floor. "Anna," I whispered, my voice cracked, begging without meaning to. She stood across the room, arms crossed, her eyes cool, detached, like she was watching a stranger, not her husband of 12 years. "Take care of yourself, Daniel," she said, flat and sharp. "I'm not your caregiver." The words struck harder than the dizziness. I froze, waiting for her to laugh it off, to soften, to rush toward me, but she didn't. She just walked past, brushing my shoulder as though I was nothing more than a nuisance standing in her way. And that was the moment something inside me broke. I sat at the kitchen table for hours after she left, the uneaten dinner cooling in front of me. Her words echoed in my skull. Not your caregiver. They were cold, surgical, like she'd carved herself away from me in a single cut. But wasn't she? My partner? My wife? The one who vowed to love me in sickness and health? I wanted to believe she'd just had a bad day, that stress had hardened her tone. But it wasn't the first time. Lately, I'd noticed a new edge in her voice when she spoke to me. Like everything I did irritated her. The warmth, the softness, the laughter we once shared gone, replaced with a restless impatience. I kept trying to ignore it, to explain it away. That was my first mistake. 2 nights later, another sign slipped through. I woke around midnight to find the bed half empty, her pillow cold. The faint hum of her voice carried from downstairs. Curious, I crept down quietly. She was in the living room, her phone pressed to her ear, her words a whisper. But it wasn't just her tone, it was her smile. That secretive curve I hadn't seen directed at me in months. "I can't stay on long," she whispered. Then after a pause, "No, he doesn't suspect a thing." My heart stuttered. He doesn't suspect a thing. I should have stormed in, demanded the truth. But instead, I froze on the stairs like a coward, my hand gripping the railing so tight my knuckles went white. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe work. Maybe a friend. Maybe anything but what it sounded like. But denial only stretches so far before it snaps. The next morning, she hummed in the kitchen while pouring her coffee, her mood strangely light. She caught me staring and smiled. "What?" she asked, casual. "Nothing," I said quickly. She reached across, kissed my cheek, and in that moment I wanted desperately to believe I'd imagined it all. But deep down, a shadow had already crept in, whispering truths I didn't want to hear. The unraveling began slow. Subtle red flags stacking up. Her late nights at the office. Her phone, always face down. Her laughter, those bright, unguarded bursts, only when she was texting someone else. And the distance. God, the distance. She barely touched me anymore, as if intimacy had become a chore she no longer cared to perform. Still, I clung to hope. I told myself marriages go through phases, that maybe we were just in a rough patch. But then came the proof. It was a Thursday evening when the storm finally broke. She was in the shower, her phone buzzing on the counter. Normally I wouldn't touch it. I hated the idea of invading her privacy, but something in me, some buried instinct, reached for it. The message lit the screen. "Last night was unforgettable. I can still taste you." My lungs collapsed. My chest hollowed out, leaving nothing but a raw, burning void. My hands shook so badly I nearly dropped the phone. I scrolled, each line of their conversation slicing deeper. Pet names, plans, confessions of love. A parallel life she'd been living right under my nose. And the worst part? She seemed happy in those words. Happier than she'd been with me in years. The shower turned off. Panic jolted through me. I set the phone down exactly as I'd found it, and stumbled back into the bedroom, pretending to read. My heart thundered so loudly I thought she'd hear it echo off the walls. When she walked in, wrapped in a towel, smiling faintly, I looked at her differently. For the first time in 12 years, I saw a stranger. The days after were torture. I carried the truth like a blade in my chest, cutting deeper with every forced smile. Every fake, "I love you." I wanted to confront her, but fear pinned me down. Fear of losing her. Fear of confirming the betrayal aloud, because then it would be real. So I played my part, silently unraveling inside. At night, I lay awake, replaying every moment of our marriage. Was it all a lie? Did she ever truly love me? Or was I just a stepping stone until someone better came along? The breaking point came a week later. We were at dinner, a quiet restaurant we used to love. She barely touched her food, distracted by her phone. "Anna," I said softly. She looked up, annoyed. "What? Do you still love me?" The question hung heavy between us. Her fork paused midair. For a second, I thought I saw guilt flicker in her eyes, but then she masked it, her tone defensive. "Of course I do. Why would you ask that?" I wanted to scream because I know. I wanted to flip the table, to pour all my rage into the open. But instead, I just nodded, swallowing the lie she fed me. And that was when I realized I wasn't just betrayed. I was alone. That night, after she fell asleep, I packed a small bag. My hands trembled, but my decision felt clear, inevitable. I slipped her phone from the nightstand, scrolled to the message thread again, and snapped photos of everything. Proof. Evidence. My silent armor. I left the house quietly, the darkness outside swallowing me whole. I drove with no destination, the road stretching endlessly ahead. My mind burned with memories. Our wedding day, her smile in the candlelight, the way she once clung to me like I was her whole world. And now? Now I was nothing more than a shadow she brushed aside. But here's the twist, the part that still haunts me. As I sat in that empty motel room hours later, scrolling through their messages, one detail stood out. The man wasn't just some stranger. He was someone I knew, someone I trusted. My best friend. The betrayal doubled, crushing, suffocating. It wasn't just her love I'd lost. It was the brotherhood I'd leaned on my whole life. And in that suffocating silence, one thought crystallized, sharp and clear. I could never go back. The man who walked into that kitchen, dizzy and weak, begging for his wife's care, that man was dead. What remained was someone else. Someone colder. Someone who knew the truth and could never unknow it. When the sun rose, I stared at the horizon, hollow but strangely resolute. Anna had said she wasn't my caregiver. She was right. She wasn't. She never would be again. Because from that day forward, I swore I'd never need her, or anyone, to catch me when I fell.